Welcome back to my channel Conquer the Fear. In this video we are going to discuss about how you can change the Spring Boot default server from Tomcat to any other like Undertow or Jetty. In this video I am going to explain the 3 simple steps from the scratch with a live example how you can change the default server in Spring Boot application. This is also one of the most frequently asked interview questions if you are attending interview. This is the must interview question you must be prepared for. So you have to first visit this particular site. If you see, I have opened this particular tool, that is Spring Initializer. So here you have to open it. There are other ways to create it, but this is one of the best way to create a project. Here you have to the project language, the stable version of Spring Boot, and your project artifacts like what is the group ID, artifacts, name, etc. So once you add this, select the packaging as jar as of now, and the Java version you select the latest version as of now where I'm recording this video. That is Java 24 is the latest stable version. Thereafter you can actually add the web dependency, and this for example what I'm trying to showcase, the web dependency is much more than enough to showcase this particular example. So once you do this, generate this particular project, download it and import into your favorite IDE. For now I will be using the IntelliJ. I have opened that particular project over here. Now you will see, just ignore this particular other packages over here, but in general if you see, you will have a structure like this where you will have a pom.xml, your main application class like this, and then you will have your own package structure over here along with the property file. So these are all the basic structure which you will get it when you download that particular project. As we have already done the step 1, now we have to exclude that particular Tomcat directory. Now if I before going there, I would like to run this particular application and show you. If you take a look at this, the server is started over here, but you make a note of here, the server is started on 4x9s and HTTP protocol, but if you see, it is started as a Tomcat server. Now this is being the embedded server of Spring Boot, the default embedded server. So whenever you don't specify anything or you don't mention anything, the default server which will be taken up is Tomcat. Now let me open pom.xml. Under this, you'll see see group ID, the details, the Java version, or whatever we have mentioned, the Spring Boot version, whatever it is, here it is mentioned over here. So this is all what we have selected in that particular tool and downloaded it. So this is one important dependency what we have to use it. So if in order to make our application web application, so this is the starter dependency. Just ignore other things over here. I will be showing you the plugin details which particular pom.xml, there is nowhere mentioning of Tomcat or which server, because internally it will be taken care in this particular web dependency. So here this is transitive dependency, everything will be taken care. If you see here, this is inside the Tomcat, the pom.xml starter libraries web dependency. So if you see, this is under that particular transitive dependency. So from this particular main starter web dependency, we landed to this particular starter dependency. Now in this, all the relevant dependencies are added. Like if you see, JSON is added, Tomcat is added, web is added, WebMVC is added. So these are all related to the web. And like earlier when we used to use the dispatcher servlet, we used to manually add those dependency. In this case, with one just starter, you are actually trying to auto configure everything, and it is all transitive dependency. So that is one big advantage with Spring Boot. Now without mentioning the Tomcat as a specific or a default server, Spring Boot has configured is a default thing, because you need to take the Tomcat as a default version of it. Here what we have to do is that we have to do two things. First is we have to exclude we have to explicitly tell that Spring Boot that I doesn't want Tomcat over here. And if Spring Boot says, okay, I'm fine with if you are not getting the default server that is Tomcat, you have to tell me like which other server you want it, and I need that dependency to be added over here. So that is what the Spring Boot will have to identify whether where to deploy this application. So it cannot just leave that as it is. So not only exclusion the step is, there is also one more thing which you have to add the dependency of the desired like Jetty or Undertow. So first step is you have to exclude, so exclusion part has to be written over here. So under this you have to write a exclusion logic over here. Now you see here I have already pasted the where I have added the tag. In this you see I am trying to exclude this particular web dependency from here, that is Tomcat. So after adding this, let's check out what happens when we try to restart this. So it has still, not added that particular Jetty in spite of I have excluded it because it did not find any default server because I've still excluded it. But here actually in after excluding there should be one default server to be added, right? So I have not added that. That is the reason it is default at the delegation or some level. It is taking up that as a default server in order to stop the failure of systems to start up. So let us add the dependencies of Jetty. So this is the Jetty dependency. So what I have to do, I have to download it. Now this is the third step where earlier I had actually excluded it. Now I am trying to include this. So once this particular library is downloaded over here, you will be able to see this particular dependencies got resolved. So let it complete this particular dependency download. Now here the dependency is download, but still the error is showing here. Now let me reload this. This will all resolve your compile time dependencies or whatever issues are there in your pom.dot or Java classes. Now you see here, this is gone. You will be able to see that there is already a dependency, and then this will be able to run your application. Now under this you will see the servlet, WebSocket, embedded EL, all of this which are required for the servlets, JSP to run, okay, or any other web application to run it, the web server. So once I add this, let me stop this and then run this. Now you make a note of this. Here earlier it was showing Tomcat, now it is showing Jetty over here. The port is same, just the server is replaced with the default. We already checked it, like if I have not mentioned this, if I'm not adding this, as well as I'm trying to exclude this, still the default is Tomcat. But after exclusion, if I am adding this one, then the default server is changed to Jetty. So this is with respect to Jetty. The same thing will be applicable for Undertow or any other web server. You have to just add that dependency over here and your application would be started up. Let me show you an example of Undertow. Still, if you see after adding this, I'm again getting that Maven dependency error or a compilation error. I will try to download this. Now I have to reload this particular project, so that in order to solve this particular dependency issue, now we don't have any error right now. If you go inside this and see, still same, everything would be there, right? Servlet, WebSocket, embedded EL, and etc. So this is same thing which is required. Now let us try to start this application now and see whether that particular server has been changed from Jetty to Undertow or not. You see here, Undertow web server, Undertow server started on 4 times 9, right? So this is what exactly the server has been changed, and this It's very simple to change this. Now let us see if I am trying to keep this both. Which of things will happen or what will happen, I am not sure. Let us try to run this and see what will happen. Now under this, I think the preference is been taken up by the Undertow, because I have written Undertow at the end over here. Let me try to move it up and restart this. Let me see, it is taking the Jetty as of now. No, I think the default server is taking as an Undertow only. So if Jetty is not mentioned, then Undertow will be taken up. So even though Jetty is there, the precedence is going to Undertow. So this is what one important thing as well, because this is importantly asked in your interview. First of all, he will ask you, like, what are the default server of Spring Boot application, how it works. Secondly, he might ask you like how to change this default server, so the one which I have made a video on right now. And third, he can ask you like, what if I mention exclusion, or also if you I doesn't mention if I mention these two dependencies, Jetty and Under2, what will happen? So in order to just confuse you, or to get you, little bit confused, he might ask you this question, but you know the answer right now. We have tried this. If this video has given you some value, please give us a thumbs up, and check out my other videos in my channel, so that you get lot of content which are relevant to you, like Java, Spring Boot, microservices. Lot of interview questions related series I have uploaded. Please check it out. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. Thank you for watching.